All right, thanks guys, that was awesome. I'm here now to introduce Parker Henritzi. I'm going to read this, but she's so much more than just words. But class of 2009, the great class of 2009. That class is known for having. Would you have 7 or 8 girls in your class? 7. We think it was a mistake by the admissions officer. It was Janet's first year.
Oh, it was great.
And she let all these people in. Yeah, and but it became a great class. They're known for going 14-0. The first team in Ivy League to go 14-0 her junior year. That year she was awarded Player of the Year. Parker was a AB in politics, graduated with honors. She was the chairwoman of the honor committee, president of the Varsity Student Athlete Advisory Committee, VSAC, social chair of Tiger Inn, vice president of the Princeton Faith in Action, Rookie of the Year 2005, Player of the Year 2007, Academic All-Ivy 2006, 2007, 2008, First Team All-Ivy 2006, 2007, 2008, received the Otto von Kienbusch Award at the Senior Banquet, and has worked at Sycamore Partners for 8+ years and is currently a principal at the firm, which has about 10 billion in assets. That's a B. Under management in Manhattan with her husband Zach, who is class of 2010 and wrestled here as well. So without further ado, Parker, come on up.
Thank you, Sal. Thank you for the hearty introduction. I wish we had $108 billion of assets under management. For those who know finance, that would make a huge difference, but we don't. I am so honored to be here. I was surprised and humbled when Sam and Saab asked me to come address the banquet tonight. It's kind of a interesting timing. So I think this is the 10th year of the banquet. Is that right? So this began after my time. So I graduated in 2009. And so what I thought I would do is talk a little bit about my path to Princeton, talk a little bit about my time at Princeton, and then talk about how much this program and this place has influenced me since I've been at Princeton. And along the way, touch on some of the people in this room who've been instrumental in my own personal development. And I think for all the players and the parents and the supporters of this program, I think you'll come to appreciate why it is such a unique program and what an impact it makes on everyone in this room and beyond's lives, which I think is really special. Before I say that though, I'd be remiss not to note that part of why I call out that this is kind of a funny transition from this not having existed when I was here to it existing now is a huge testament to the group that is assembled to help manage this program now. So I had the great benefit of having Saab as one of my coaches. I was the last year under Coach Glenn Nelson, who had an incredible storied career, much of which you guys have heard about. But what has happened with this program since we have left is unbelievable. As an alumnus, I have observed, I have cheered, and I have championed this from New York, where I now reside. I've watched the Ivy League championships, I've watched the EIVA championships, I've watched some of the players that you guys are recruiting. You are much better than we were. So as a washed up former Princeton athlete, nothing makes me happier than what you guys have done with the program. So first of all, congratulations to the coaches and the team, and then I can talk a little bit about my background, but first, So I came to Princeton volleyball from an unusual place, especially rolling back the clock 14 years ago when I was being recruited. So I grew up in Atlanta. I'm the 5th of 6 kids. None of my siblings wanted to cross the Mason-Dixon line to go to college. It was not encouraged, in fact. They said, boo, Northeast, Ivy League. I, for some reason, had a bee in my bonnet about going to the Ivy League, and I went and I met with various coaches and programs and toured campuses with my parents, and I walked into Coach Nelson's office with Sabrina, and I was telling the story earlier, and he had a golf bag slung over his shoulder, and he was walking out the door, and this was my meeting, this was my recruiting meeting. And my mom and I, I've got my hands behind my back, and I'm nervous, and I'm ready to impress this coach. And he's like, do you want to go to the best school in the country? And do you want to play volleyball with some of the best players and have fun while you're doing it? And I'm like, the thing is the beginning of the speech. And he's like, okay, I gotta go play 18 holes, so I'll tell you the rest. So that was the pitch. I walked out with my mom and I was like, we're definitely not being recruited at Princeton. We should prioritize elsewhere. Then I spent the weekend with the team and I had the most fun. It was far and away the best cultural fit. All the things that you have heard, both tonight, through your kids, through the past few months and years for those who have upperclassmen, as well as through the course of this weekend, are true. This place is distinct among any and all colleges. I know that to be true because I benchmarked against all my siblings and it's better. And so I, in some ways, took a leap of faith, and despite not feeling like I'd been recruited to join, despite not being from California, which, my class was mostly Californians, I had to like find sand in Atlanta and figure out and touch it and make sure I could speak their language. I showed up on campus, and I think the first thing that I noticed, this is kind of one of the themes that I think is important and some of the student athletes have touched on already, is the sense of community that comes with being a part of this program is very, very special. I got dropped off, literally, my parents kind of threw my stuff on top of my bed, signed off, and I was kind of on this campus in a very foreign place. The first, second, third, fourth people that showed up at my room as a freshman were all the upperclassmen volleyball players. They showed up, they said, let us give you a tour, let us explain how this works, let's talk about preseason. From that point forward, you're kind of ensconced in this environment that I think as a player, and I would hope as a parent, you can feel how special that is. I never had a moment where I worried about would I have friends. I never had a moment where I worried about how am I gonna navigate, how do people choose majors, how do people think about, what do I do with this situation? How do I bicker or not bicker, or do an eating club or not do an eating club? Along the way, I had this kind of built-in cohort of people that not just were able to give me advice, but actually genuinely cared to give me advice, and actually were invested in me having a good outcome. I'll layer on top of that the men's team. So all of that speaks to the women's team, but as you guys have seen tonight, the men's team immediately became some of my very best friends. In fact, I was telling Sabrina, I was just at the wedding of one of the men's team players who I lived with my senior year, actually, at Tiger Inn, 3 weeks ago. There were 7 Princeton people at the wedding, small wedding, and of the 7 Princeton people, 4 of us were volleyball players. It was 3 men's players and myself. So these are enduring relationships, and it's a community that is present now on campus, but will really carry you through as you go forward. A couple of things when I think about the Princeton community that come to mind, and again, I think the players have done a nice job of already hitting on some of this, but I've got a couple pictures to demonstrate. A lot of social life on campus, and built-in social life is built around the volleyball team. This was one of the seniors' birthday parties at Ivy Garden. These are all of my teammates, and I think we were the first year to exploit the international travel loophole. So this is us in Brazil. I forget how many years it had been since anyone had traveled internationally. Yeah, so the program had never, and somehow we conspired with Saab and Coach, and we figured out that Princeton would actually pay to send us internationally, and as long as we played a little bit of volleyball, we could go to Brazil. So we did, and we got to play 3 matches internationally in Brazil. And I would tell you that as fun as it is playing on campus, getting to travel with your teammates and build those bonds was extraordinary. So these are women that were incredible role models for me, teammates, friends, advisors while on campus. And I just could not emphasize how much that community carries through when you graduate. So I've stayed in very close touch with a number of my teammates, both on the men's and the women's team. And I think as someone who's entering college and hoping that you're gonna find community, knowing that you enter Princeton and you already have one is so, so, so unique and special. The second thing that I talk about, which is a little bit different, but I think probably has had even a more kind of formative impact on me, both at Princeton and beyond, is one of the things that I appreciated. I had a lot of student athlete friends on campus. I had friends that played basketball, I had friends that played lacrosse, and all other sports. And the thing that I found to be very unique and kind of indigent to the culture of this particular program is an emphasis on balance. So what I really appreciated, and it looks like it has continued to carry through even past my time, is it was great that I had the opportunity to play volleyball for 4 years. I was keenly aware of the fact that I was not going to be a professional volleyball player after I graduated. And I also was keenly aware of, just like in high school, where my life was comprised of family and friends and doing social things and sports and academics, being on a campus and a part of a program that supports that type of balance is very, very different. And whether that was Sabrina or Coach advocating with a professor to make sure we could take a test that worked around some sort of scheduling we had with a game, or whether that was them being the type of coaches that would say, okay, if you need to like lift on this schedule because that works better for this reason or that. I compared that sometimes to some of my other friends that were athletes at, frankly, other colleges, and the rigidity and the sports only, sports first mentality, whereas what I think the student athletes here appreciate and is really highlighted in this program is there's a belief that your whole person should be supported. And so I recall when Coach Nelson was retiring, and somebody asked me, how do you think about this retirement? And I said, the thing that I appreciated the most about Coach Nelson is that he was so supportive of me as a person. And that emphasis on balance and whole person, I think, is alive and well in the program. It's part of why people are successful here as athletes, but then they're successful as people when they get outside of this room. And I would tell you that the challenges in finding balance when you leave college, frankly, only get greater. And having 4 years in a safe place with wonderful people, great friends, great mentors, and incredible coaches, where that is a theme throughout your 4 years, makes it a lot easier to carry it forward into your professional life. And so for me, as I transitioned from what is the greatest place on earth in Princeton's campus, and moved into New York and began having to navigate having a job and doing this and having friends and working really hard, that reminder of the fact that you can balance your life and that you should prioritize multiple things, that was, I think, a hallmark of the program and something that, Saab and Coach did a great job, and I know Sam has carried on. Those lessons are not easily forgotten, and I think they do set people up for success. The last thing that I would say is this program is incredibly fun. I know you guys know that because you're living it, and I'm glad to hear volleybowling lives on. It's a really fun program to be a student athlete in. The support between the men's and women's team, the fun that we have, the social activities that take place, that overlay for what is otherwise, I know, intense competition and frankly a lot of success, is, I think, also unique. And not taking ourselves too seriously, knowing when to laugh, knowing when to be excited, and knowing when it's appropriate to have a good time, which is hopefully this weekend, hopefully celebrating 2 victories, I think are all just fantastic components of this program. And I don't think I can emphasize enough that it's actually quite unique. I'm sure many of you have kids and have siblings that have played sports at other places or have thought about it. The culture here is very distinct, and I think it actually sets up the student athletes to be better, more well-adjusted people. And I have been a huge beneficiary of that platform as I've kind of gone out into the world. And the last thing I'd say is going to Princeton allowed me to meet my husband, which is a not insignificant side benefit. And that fits into the fun part because that happened on a fall break when the wrestling team and the volleyball team were stuck on campus. Everyone else was traveling, taking vacations. Somebody decided a beer pong tournament at Tiger Inn was a good idea. It's as romantic as it sounds. I credit that to the volleyball team who played kind of matchmaker and said there's a cute guy on the wrestling team you should meet. So thank you guys very much for the time. I really, really think this is a tremendous program. I'm so excited and honored to have come back and be able to speak to all of you. Thank you.